is Astrid. Welcome to my channel. This will be my very first YouTube video, and I've selected a topic that's kind of near and dear to me. The reason why is because I just recently became an MPC touch user. I've only had the unit for probably a good 6 or 7 months, and when I initially purchased the unit and tried to integrate it with Reason, I had a lot of trouble. There was really no documentation available at the time on how to integrate it with Reason. I mean, there was tons of information on how to integrate it with all the other DAWs that are out on the market, but nothing for Reason. So I went back and forth with Akai to try to get some instructions, and finally, after probably a good 2 months, I got an email from the tech support providing a link to a site with instructions. But after having spent so much of my own personal time trying to resolve this issue, their instructions were kind of moot. So I figured I would provide this video to save somebody else some trouble. And also, after spending time on the Reason or Akai users forum, found some other people that were actually using it as well. But I think that I'm maybe using it a little different from everybody else, and I'm not quite sure. But I wanted to share this information and just show exactly how I was able to get past all the issues. Okay, so first I created like a little project here just to show how I have everything set up. First I want to do to open up the actual plugin itself, so you can see how everything is set up. Very first thing that I encountered with integrating it with Reason, and mind you, I am using Reason 10. I wanted to make sure that I'm letting everybody know that. And I just actually recently upgraded my MPC plugin to version 2.2.1. But you don't have to have this version of Reason. It should work with Reason 9.5 and any version that's in between there. I've also been pretty current with my Reason versions due to all of the issues that they've been patching up. Okay, so let's just start with how to set up the hardware, or set up the software to work within Reason rather. So I'm going to go to the file pull down menu, and then I'm going to select edit and preferences. And this is something that you really need to be mindful of when you're first trying to set this up within Reason. The MIDI settings, they all need to say DAW. If they say anything other than DAW, you need to change it to DAW and just click OK. The other thing that was essential for me to get this working within Reason in a way that was reasonable for me was to change the record / overdub button or selection to have it to MPC plugin. And what that does is it makes the record buttons function within the MPC software, or within the hardware panel rather. So if you're actually pushing record within Reason, you actually have to arm the MPC first. And that'll make sense here shortly, and I'll just show you what happens when you do both. So let's do it first. Let me show you how it functions for me when I have it just in Reason DAW mode or to the host mode. It just doesn't function the way that I expect it. And this was one of the very first things that I ran into when I first got the unit. And I'm gonna create you know what? I've got like this pre-created song format in here. Hold on, let me just go back to the menu. Yeah, there we go. So we're just gonna go over to the panel here, and I like to put this particular panel, side panel, in the program channel mode. The reason why I do that, and it'll make a lot more sense as we move forward here, it allows you to be able to see what actual audio channel this particular track is on, and also it allows you the ability to be able to change the track. And also, see, you can add like inserts and that kind of thing to the program channel as well from there. But it'll make more sense as we move forward. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just select an unused track. And I'm going to probably leave it in intro mode right now because I've got, you know what, no, let's do an unused sequence so that we're not having all that other stuff going on. Okay, so, and you know what, in my, all right, let me see here what we got going on. Oh, I'm going to click a default kit that I have already pre-selected. It's from one of the Akai's expansion kits. I really like the Akai expansion kits because they're like curated kits that are really rich with a lot of different drum sounds. Really rich, thick, fat drums that you really don't have to do a lot of work to get them to work in your tracks. And call me lazy, I just don't like spending lots of hours tweaking snares and basses and all that stuff. It's just time consuming. Although I do like my music to sound different, I just don't have a lot of time to be tweaking on drums. So that was the other reason why I really like the MPC, because out of the box you get really fat, rich, thick sounds from the MPC. And heck, a lot of the tracks and songs that we know for over the past 20 some years have been created with the MPC. So where can you go wrong with it? Okay, so now I have fresh track created, and I've selected my kit. So I've got kit in there. Okay, so as you can see from just me touching the pads, you can see that it is receiving MIDI notes, or at least it's listening for the MIDI notes anyway. And remember that this is the method that doesn't really work for me. And also, I had a conversation with somebody in the forum, the Akai forums, in reference to arming, making sure that the MPC is in enable mode within Reason. Well, it doesn't really matter, or at least it hasn't for me. By default, Reason puts tracks in record enable mode. So it was never really an issue for me with this particular problem that I've had all along with this thing. But we'll just make sure that it's in record enable mode. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create like just a little track here, or a little rhythm. So as you can see, there's no MIDI data within the MPC software. And let's go back to Reason. And we're looking at the MPC track. This is the MPC track. See, no MIDI notes. So it doesn't matter if you have the MPC in record enable mode within Reason 10, or at least it doesn't for me, and it hasn't been. It just doesn't work. Now, the method that has worked for me is I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go back to Edit, go back to Preferences, and I'm going to go back to the hardware settings, and then back to that setting again that says Record Overdub, and I'm going to change it to Host DAW back to MPC plugin. So what that does is, again, it requires that you arm the MPC's record and play button before you actually push the record button within Reason. And I'll show you what happens now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to arm it now. So I'm going to push record and play at the same time within the on the MPC Touch. And when I did that, see how these two buttons highlight at the top? Okay, now I'm going to just push the record button within Reason. MIDI notes. Okay, so that's the difference. or at least it's been for me for this a length of time. So after I discovered I could do that, that kind of resolved all my issues, and forward, I have been able to create tracks without any problems. The only caveat to this method is that you don't see MIDI notes here on the screen. No cause for panic, because it really doesn't matter. All the MIDI notes are recorded within the MPC software. So here, I'll just show you this track that I pre-created. We're just going to go back and pull up one of the sequences where I've already got drums in there. All right. And we're just going to... Okay. So this one is like a key program, and it actually has keyboard MIDI notes in it. And I think they're like way up here at the top or something. Here, maybe close this and maybe makes more sense. Let's see the full keyboard range. Oh, okay. Maybe it's not one on that particular one. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is like an intro to the song. So there's some parts that are not part of it. Okay, so this one has like a kick data in there. And then the next one, this is a snare data. This one's hats. So as you can see, there's actual MIDI data that is recorded when you have it in that mode. Now the key to getting this to really work in a way that's going to be beneficial is to actually split out the pads within reason, so that you can separate the audio. And the way that you do that is within the reason rack, you're going to flip it around to the back. And let me close this down so you can see the screen. There's this little button that's almost hidden. I really wish they would have made it just a little bit bigger, the CV programmer, because at first it took me a minute to find it. But the CV programmer opens up this extra area that has all this optional audio inputs and outputs. So what I did was I routed all of my all of the tracks that I'm actually using within the MPC out to these extra audio tracks that I created. And the way that you do that, if you don't know how to create it, is just right click and go create an audio track. And then once you do that, you click on show insert effect, and it opens up this little side panel that's normally hidden. And from there, I just dragged my first 1 and 2 outs to the end on this one, on this very first one, which is, I've titled Angels. This is like a keyboard output from the MPC. And then 3 and 4 is routed down to, I want to say, my kicks. Let's look at that and see what that is. Yeah. So it's routed to my kicks, and then my snares are on 5 and 6, and then my hats, and then that goes somewhere else. Okay, so it looks like I've got about maybe three audio outputs for the MPC in this particular track. So with that, this also gives you like flexibility. See how I have a this reverb on my that keyboard sound to give it a little bit more room sound. So it allows you to have more flexibility with being able to mix things as far as sound quality with the MPC software and the sounds that you're getting from it, which is a good thing. But I bet you're wondering how does all this work when you actually go to bounce things out? Okay, you've got all your tracks created. What I end up doing normally is, drums are always a special thing anyway. You always have to like make an intro. You always have to make a hook. You always have to make a verse. You always change your drums up anyway. So I always end up like specially creating a program for my drums. So what I do is I just go into the the menu and then go to song mode. And in song mode, here, let me bring that back. Looks better when you see the actual song mode. So when you're in song mode, you know what? You can just, after you've created your sequences with those drum sounds that you've pre-created for that particular sequence, you know, you're just building a song. So it's just like you normally would build a song, except you're just doing it within the MPC software with the audio output to Reason. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I'm doing, is I'm using Reason as my DAW, which you would be doing this with any other DAW as well. So there's nothing really special about that. Now let's talk about how to route those sounds out on the pads from the MPC. So normally the way you do this is just go to the pad mixer. You can either do that by clicking the button up here at the top of the screen, or you can do Command 5. I'm on a Mac. I'm not really sure what the command is for Windows machines. Sorry. Once you do that, it takes you to this screen. It has all of the pads like shown across the bottom of the screen. So if you just hit the pads, you'll see that there's a kick there, there's a snare there, hats there on A3. So the way that you route them out, again, this little side panel, you can use it for that. So you can see the levels there too. So as you can see, I have my kick is routed out to 1 and 2, and then if you click on this pad, okay, A2. So A2 is, it's not really showing me. Hold on, let me get in there. So A2, it should be 5 and 6. So let's see here. Yeah, it's like not showing correctly here. Oh, there we go. So it's this button here, sorry. So it's the pad channel. I was clicking on the program channel. It's the pad channel that shows you the view. So let me just start over. So A1, here's A1 there. Right now it shows program mode, so actually it should be 1 and 2. So I'm going to select stereo out 1 and 2. You can also do mono for that as well. And then my snares on 5 and 6. So if I click on this, you'll see that it actually is on 5 and 6. And then on 7 and 8, I have my hi-hats. So, and then I've got another program in here somewhere too. Let's see, 3 and 4. So I've got another kick on 3 and 4. So I've got 2 kicks essentially. And let's see, it seems like I've got another program in there too. I think it's a key program. The key programs show a little different. They actually show up as a program. So maybe that's, oh, you know what? That's what it was. One is supposed to be key program. So yeah, that's why I had it set up that way. So if I go back here, let me go back here and pull this one. Then within Reason, the way that you specify the output channels is in the front of the rack from here. So you see if it's on 1 and 2 for this channel. And then my kick is again, yeah, see that's what it is. That key program is on 1 and 2. The kick is actually probably on 3 and 4. Yeah, so I have it set for mono, so it's on channel 3. And then snares, or the snare rather, it is on channel 5 and 6. And my hats are on channel 7 and 8. Okay, so now it makes more sense. Hopefully it makes more sense. And then from the mixer area, if you look at your mixer, you have everything separated where you can actually make changes as far as adding compression, doing your changing the EQ settings, you know, all of the normal things that you want to do to your drum sounds to get them to fit in the mix. So that's how I do that part. Well, I'll leave a snippet of the song that I created for the video at the end of the video. And I want to wrap things up. If you have any questions, please leave comments at the bottom of the page. If you like the video, select like. If you don't like it, well, you know what to do. Also, hit subscribe. I plan on creating additional content and delving a little bit deeper into Reason and more music production. I've took a long hiatus from music production for a while. I actually was am kind of coming back into it, so things have changed. Oh man. So but it's actually changed for the better. It's not a bad thing now. So I'm really enjoying delving back into music again, or the production side of things. And I hope to continue to be able to post content as I'm delving deeper and moving forward in my musical journey. Hopefully you like this. See you soon. Bye.